decided to do another earliest stream here. It's probably going to be for like an hour or so. I was finally able to pretty much complete what I wanted to in the Prank Kids deck, which I'm super excited about. So we'll check that out really quick. Alright, so this might be a little bit different than some others that you may have seen. I really like specific hand traps because I feel like there's specific decks that give me issues. And I mean, to you guys who play Yu-Gi-Oh a lot and things like that, I mean, like there's just certain things that happen to you that you just can't accept, So I run quite a bit of graveyard hand traps, 3 Skullmeister, 2 DD Crow. This really helps with a lot of the virtual world stuff, Eldritch in particular. I know that's super common right now. Anytime I go through any like Facebook threads or anything like that about the game, people are complaining about running into so much Eldritch on Platinum and stuff. Which, I mean, Eldritch is very strong, but I would say I would rather fight that over something like Drytron all day. I mean, Max C's and basically everything, which listen, I like Max C. I know it's very good. I know the draw is very good. In something like Prank Kids, I mean, as long as you have one Prank Kid in your hand, like, usually you're good. I mean, you can go into Meow Meow Mew, which is this boy down here. And this boy basically reads, if you were going to sacrifice one of your Prank Kids monsters on your opponent's turn to activate its effect, like Battle Butler, who can destroy all monsters on your opponent's field by sacrificing himself, or the magnificent Rip Roaring Coaster, then you could actually get rid of Meow Meow Mew out of your graveyard instead. So you want to go into Meow Meow Mew. From there, your Prank Kids effect will proc, which is something along the lines. They're all just a little bit different as far as what they do. And I'll go through all of them, so I'll pull them up so you guys can read them. But Roxy's lets you draw a card, and then I think you need to banish a card from your hand. Lampsy's here. Inflict 500 damage to your opponent, then you can special summon one Prank Kids monster from your hand or deck in defense position. And this is when they're used as a fusion or a link, which is what all of their extra deck cards are. So basically, you have unlimited fuel, 1-for-1, anytime you use a Prank Kid for an actual fusion or link summon. And then their added effect of deal 500 damage, gain 1,000 life points, draw a card, and then Fansies. So you can send one Prank Kids card from your deck to your graveyard. So, all useful abilities. I would say the most niche and probably the one that I haven't quite figured out yet is Fansies. The rest are pretty self-explanatory. Draw, deal 500 damage, gain 1,000 life points, send a card to the graveyard. I haven't really found the graveyard benefit yet. So, polymerization, because you want to be able to get into their fusions, and we'll go through the entire extra deck in just a second. Harpy's Feather Duster, I don't think I really need to explain. It destroys their entire back row. Destroy all spell and trap cards. Polymerization, fusion from your hand and field. Monster Reborn should be in just about every deck. Now this is kind of an odd one. So obviously I was looking at a deck list for this because I hadn't really gotten into Prank Kids, prior to maybe a week ago. And so Thunder Dragon Fusion reads, fusion summon one Thunder Fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling the fusion materials listed on it into the deck. From among your cards on the field, in your graveyard, and or face-up banished cards. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and one Thunder monster from your deck to your hand. Both benefits that you can use in the Prank Kids deck, both wonderful. and then add one, or you can only use the effect of Thunder Dragon Fusion once per turn. Right, most powerful cards are kind of like that. Added benefit is that you can go into this guy, pay the 2,000 life points, send one fusion or polymerization. So I mean, you can send your Thunder Dragon Fusion to the graveyard, and go ahead and go into your fusions. And all three fusions are useful. Two are definitely better than the last, but the last one's still necessary. Prank Kid's Place, amazing support. This is like, you know, there's just some decks whenever you see their field card get played and you're like, oh god. This deck's kind of one of those. So when this card's activated, you can add one Prank Kids monster from your deck to your hand. So unfortunately, it is also an easy target for something like an Ash Blossom. I mean, which is fine. You just don't get the +1 to your hand. And then once per turn, if you fusion summon a Prank Kids fusion monster except during the damage step, you can have all monsters you control gain 500 attack, even if this card leaves the field. And then once per turn, if you link summon a Prank Kids link monster except during the damage step, you can have all monsters your opponent controls lose 500. So if you go into a fusion, your cards are going up 500, and if you go into a link, your opponent's cards are going down 500 attack. Now, this is great because you're definitely going to get both of those like around the same time. Now, you don't mind lowering their stuff more frequently, so you want to go obviously into more links, and you want to save that extra 500 until you're actually fused into what you're going to fuse into, so you have like all the added up attack bonus. Now, I do misplay that. I am still new to Prank Kids. You guys will see me misplay it, I'm sure, but I'm going to do my best to do it right and give you guys an adequate representation on, you know, what this deck can do. Alright, the next support here. There's only one of this because it's easily searchable with one of the link cards, the Dodo. Prank Kids Pranks. You can discard one Prank Kids card, special summon one Prank Kids token, Pyro Fire, level 1, attack 0, defense 0, but it cannot be tributed. During your end phase, you can target 3 Prank Kids cards in your graveyard except Prank Kids Pranks. Shuffle all 3 into the deck, then draw 1 card. You can only use each effect of Prank Kids Pranks once per turn. Such a good support card, especially for these little monstrous imps that just combo like gods. So you get 3 back from the graveyard, so you still have that you know, I mean, basically just that Prank Kids engine in your deck just still running every turn that you have this card activating. And the ability to add an additional body on the field if you've already, like, let's say normal summon a Prank Kids, you get rid of another Prank Kids from your hand, and then you special summon that guy, and let's say you already went into like Dodo, well, that's, you know, link 4 right there, so you could go into your Rip Roaring Coaster, or Roaster, excuse me. Cosmic Cyclone, quick play spell, pay 1,000 life points, and then banish 1 spell trap on the field. Such a good card. Now, I mean, you could play something like Twin Twister, right? But I don't want to have to worry about getting rid of like maybe a hand trap, since I'm playing so many in this deck, to destroy something. And most of the time with Twin Twisters, it's not so much 2 cards you're trying to get rid of. It's just, you know, it's usually one preliminary target, and then you know, you just end up getting added value from it. So having some type of targeted removal, and that the extra banish is great too, right? Because a lot of spells do things whenever they hit the graveyard, especially if you're playing with Virtual World or Eldritch. So they can't use the graveyard activated effects. Next support piece here, Prank Kids Pandemonium. I love all the artwork, by the way. All the little dudes are always like running around causing mischief and mayhem in the art. I just really enjoy it. It reminds me of Codename Kid Next Door, or Codename Kids Next Door, if you guys have ever seen that on like Cartoon Network back in the day. Except for these guys are apparently orphans, I guess, from what they're... So, well, I guess those kids were too, right? Well, no, maybe not. I think they went home to their parents. Anyway, I digress. So what Print Kids Pandemonium states is that during the main phase, fusion summon one Print Kids fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot normal or special summon monsters except Print Kids monsters. Seems okay, right? Like, why would I even run Poly if I have this in the deck? Well, it's a quick play. So if I have, you know, let's say Rip Run Roaster on the field, and then so let's say we have Rip Roaring Roaster, right? 3,000, good attack card. And then let's say we were able to go into like this guy, Weather Washer, which we'll get into a little bit later. And then you have another random Prank Kid in defense position from like your special summon. Right? Then you could use this Pandemonium after you've already attacked. Right? So you've dealt 3,000, 2,000, so you've dealt 5,000 damage, and then you can quick play fusion during the battle phase into Prank Kid's Battle Butler if you have the necessary cards in your hand, and then go ahead and attack again. Or with the scenario I was advising, you know, you could go into something as simple with just, you know, the Rocket Ride, because it's only 2 Prank Kids monsters specifically. And then hit for another 2,000. So you'll have like 7,000, and then if you got a couple procs off with Lamseys dealing 500 damage, then, you know, that's game. So, very cool. Droplet. Droplet's not quite as good in this deck as I think it is in a majority of decks, but obviously it's still just a giant powerhouse. Quick play spell, so you can use it, you know, if it's face down on your enemy's turn or during your turn from your hand. Send any number of other cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard. Choose that many effect monsters your opponent controls, and until the end of this turn, their attack is halved. Also, their effects are negated. In response to this card's activation, your opponent cannot activate cards or the effective cards with the same original type, monster, spell, or trap. So let's say they're playing some of those pain in the butt fairy dudes with 0 attack, 0 defense, the Time Lords. I've been seeing that more and more in this game, and I absolutely despise that deck. I think that it really, you know, poops on people trying to play stuff that's good and kind of classic. Like, let's say a Blue Eyes deck. There's just not much banish. I mean, now if you have Chaos Max, that's totally different, right? The piercing damage, if you can somehow get that thing into defense position, that's great. But I mean, that's really it. So Forbidden Droplet against something like that is just wonderful, and it can give you kill potential if you get it at like the right time, or if you save it to use it for something like that. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Again, I hate those freaking cards. They never win against me. It's always just a giant stall until I draw like the one card in my deck that I need to destroy it. But I mean, overall, it's just useful. Stop the effect, have the attack, go in, and you can do it to more than one target. Infinite Permanence. I think probably the least needs to be said about this card over anything else in this deck. Target one face-up monster your opponent controls, negate its effect until the end of this turn. Then if this card was set before activation and it's on the field at resolution, for the rest of this turn, all other set, spell, trap effects in this column are negated. If you control no cards, you can activate this card from your hand. So it's a hand trap as long as you control no cards, which is wonderful. And you get a little bit of added value whenever you activate it face down. Now, I see people all the time after this card's activated, and I did this as well. I was playing with one of my buddies the other night, and he activated an Infinite Permanence on one of my cards, and I literally put my best two next cards, like in the chain that I was trying to accomplish, in the same spell and trap card zone, so they were negated immediately after activation. So you really have to pay attention. I mean, you'll see, like, whenever I stream in battle, for some reason I'm just always drawn to like the left side of the board. It's like my OCD, right? Like, I want to make sure everything goes from left to right. So yeah, weird things happen because of that. So you got to watch out for that. We went through a lot of the extra deck, but these cards are just so amazing and so flavorful. So right here, it looks like you have Fansies and Dropsies riding on the rocket, which looks like it may be Lampsies, like turned into it. So 2 Prank Kids monsters, 2,000 attack, 5-star. If this card's fusion summoned, you can have this card lose 1,000 attack this turn. Also, it can attack directly this turn. So if your opponent's down to 1,000 life points, an easy finisher. And we know how good effects like that are thanks to like Sky Strikers. They have a link card in their deck for 1,500 attack that states that they can attack directly, and it ends games. I mean, it's just what it does. It's that extra little something that you might need a lot of games. Then most cards will say something along these lines that are linked or fusioned. You can tribute this card and then target 2 Prank Kids non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard, special summon them, but they cannot attack this turn, right? So, I mean, you want to keep these guys going. You want to keep them in rotation. You want them in the graveyard. You want them on the field. You want them in your hand. You just want these little crazy dudes everywhere. Prank Kids Weather Washer, one of my favorites. You can see two Fansies and 1 Lampsies, and then it looks like the one that turned into the actual Weather Washer itself may be a Dropsies. To me, it almost looks like he's peeing. I mean, I don't know. Like, I know it's not that, and you know, whatever. It's just his facial expression, right, with the red between the eyes and stuff. Alright, so this guy takes 2 Prank Kids monsters. If your Prank Kids monster attacks, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects until the end of the damage step. So instant Prank Kids Ancient Gear effect, right? Wonderful. During your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can tribute this card, then target 2 Prank Kids non-fusion monsters with different names in your graveyard, special summon them. They cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. You can only use each effect of Prank Kids Weather Washer once per turn. How freaking wonderful is that? Like, somebody targets this guy for like removal, and you're just like, nope, I'm gonna turn him back into, you know, Fansies and Dropsies, and they're gonna be in a defense position, and they can't be destroyed by battle this turn, so I know I'll have some gas going into my following turn. Great stuff. Or that does also work with Meow Mew. So if you don't want to sacrifice him, you don't have to. You can banish Meow Mew from your graveyard and get the +2 to the board. So very good. The monster that actually has the animation whenever it comes out of this deck, so like I guess the main boss monster, right, is Prank Kids Battle Butler. Robot dude frying up some bacon and eggs on his chest flamethrower, riding out into space or something on his tornado legs with a spork and a spoon spinning around. If I can speak English, what a cool card. He has a vacuum on top of him to like represent like Fansies. Just really cool. So Prank Kids Lampsies, Dropsies, and Flamesies, right? So the actual first 3 named delinquents of the deck, or what turned into this guy, must be fusion summoned. So you know, you have to use like Polymerization or Pandemonium, the Prank Kids Pandemonium, or you know, something along those lines to get him out. And also obviously the Thunder Dragon fusion, because he is a thunder monster, which you can see right here. And so you can tribute this card, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. If this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by your opponent's card, you can target 1 non-fusion monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Very good. I run 2 of him. I mean, we don't go into him a whole lot. Usually, if you can set everything up properly, you realistically only ever really need 1 of him, and same thing with Rip Roaring Roaster. Link Spider. For some reason, this card kept showing up in the build for this. I mean, maybe you just need more link spaces, right? Which is totally possible. So I could see maybe if you have the added value of like Prank Kids Pranks, and you get like the token out, you can go ahead and sacrifice it, go into this guy, and then if you have another Prank Kids on the field, like go ahead and go into maybe like Meow Meow Mew, get another Prank Kids back because the special summon, then go into like Doodle, or no, well, yeah, Doodle, because he points to the right, and then eventually into Bow Wow Bark. So It looks like just some added value. I didn't really have anything else that I super wanted into this spot. I mean, I was thinking about maybe adding another Rip Roaring Roaster, but I literally have never had a need for a second one. But I mean, we'll see. Like, I haven't played the deck a whole lot. I think I practiced with it maybe 3 or 4 times. Uh, Doodle. I was talking about this guy before. This guy is fantastic. And I think like if you just look at a deck list and you go into this deck, I think this guy's probably the guy who gets underestimated the most, along with Meow Meow Mew. Because you might just be putting prank kids together because they're meta and they're good, and so you're just gonna add them to the deck. Well, that's fine, but like actually playing them and kind of figuring some stuff out, you really find out that this card's just amazing. I mean, 2 Prank Kids monsters, right? So summon a Prank Kids, going to Meow Meow Mew, special summon another Prank Kids from the other Prank Kids effect because you linked with it, and then go right into this guy. If this card is link summoned, you can add 1 Prank Kid spell trap from your deck to your hand, right? So that's how you get Prank Kids Pranks if you don't have it in your hand. That's how you get your field spell. Prank Kids Place. That's how you can get Pandemonium if you still need it. Just so much being able to target, one of those cards and just add it to your hand. So wonderful. Then this guy, a little less good than like the fusion abilities, right? Because they were quick effects that you could kind of break them down back into 2 Prank Kids during the your opponent's turn. This has to be on your turn, but this does. I mean, it's still definitely needed value. So you can get rid of this guy. 2 Prank Kids with different names from your graveyard, except link monsters, add them to your hand, right? So you can add these cards back to the hand. You can get maybe like a Battle Butler back to the extra deck. I haven't tried that, so I don't know if that's possible, but it sounds like it is. But basically, so like, let's say you go into Meow Meow Mew, you go into this guy, and then you're kind of looking on where you want to go. You can activate, Prank Kids Pranks, and then go into a token, and let's say you already have another Prank Kids on the field, and a second one like in your hand. That's more than enough value, right? It would have one more than what you would actually need, and then you can just go into your big fusion guy because you have the extra monsters in your hand for this guy. But I think that's enough talking about it. I think I'm better at actually playing it than explaining it, and I'll be kind of explaining it and stuff as we go. The rest of the stuff, I mean, generic support, but really, really good support. Again, this guy gets your fusion guy out basically in an emergency case or as soon as you need it at the cost of 2,000 life points. Nightmare Unicorn. This is what I usually have to use to get rid of those fairy guys that I was talking about, the 0/0 Time Lords. Go and send it back to their hand, and then do your best to get OTK potential or 1 turn kill. We already went to Rip Roar. And access code talker. I mean, this guy's probably in every decent deck. I think every single person who streams or plays Yu-Gi-Oh is telling everybody to make this card, and I agree. I think it's a wonderful card. I don't think it's as quite necessary as a lot of people make it out to be. It really depends kind of on your deck. Like with Prank Kids, I'm probably not going to use this guy a whole lot, but if I need him, he's there, which is great because he is just really good. But the point of what I was saying, I mean, how many times am I really going to use him, right? Like, so. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some duels. I did rank up a little bit last night while I was trying out Prank Kids for a couple duels. I also lost some rank because I was trying to work on basically making and perfecting that Thunder Dragon deck. So you guys, I purposely didn't bring it up before whenever we were going through the decks, but it is there. I've added a lot of really good stuff to it. I think there were just a couple cards we needed to craft for a majority of that, right? You have Tempest Dragon, which is a necessity, limited to 1 card that you just have to play in that deck, basically. And then Arm Dragon level 10 white. Now, he's good in the deck, but he's not great. So it's still something I'm trying to work on and make good. I mean, Master Duel is just so different from everything else, right? People can make anything and then hop into the games, and a lot of people are playing meta decks. I would say probably what 86% at least of people go into ranked with some form of like meta deck or super good modern deck that's right up there towards meta. And man, it's just really hard to get Thunder Dragon there to where it feels consistent, and that's really what I want to bring to you guys. So if I can, work it all out to make it more consistent, then great. I'll make a video on exactly how I've done that and what I looked into to do that, because I honestly wholeheartedly believe that in Yu-Gi-Oh you can play any deck that you want as long as you have the staples for like the meta. Your engine may not be as good, but you still have that win potential, right? So I am doing my best to make that happen. But for now, we'll continue on with Prank Kids. I won't do any more side conversations like that, I promise. Generally, with Prank Kids, you want to go second. A little aesthetically pleasing music. We started out here with an Ash Blossom, which is great. They're just going to straight up pass. Okay. Let's go ahead and lay down Prank Kids Prank. There's our Max C. Unfortunately, well, I was going to say unfortunately we don't have draw, but I totally forgot that you could Ash Blossom it, so I'm just going to do that. And we're going to try to get kill potential now. Okay, right into Meow Meow Mew. Gonna proc Lampsies. Activate Lampsies effect. If it can resolve, which it's not, so he's gonna Ash Blossom. That's okay, because we still have potential here. We don't have as much potential as we would, so I don't think we'll be able to get kill here, but we can still go into this. The Prank Kids pranks that I was talking about. So we're gonna activate it, get rid of a Prank Kids card from our hand, and we're gonna get one of those tokens. Looks just like Prank Kids prank art. And then it'll allow us to go at least into Dodo. Okay, Dodo's gonna activate. And we'll actually get a place. I think we need that for next turn. And we don't really have too much to fusion with Pandemonium right now. I mean, and everything is going to come out with 2000 attack. Like, would it help? Yes. Is it imperative right now? Eh. And this is going to give us some extra fuel. Okay. Definitely going to place Droplet face down. So that'll be turn 1 for us. Not a great turn 1. Oh yeah, at the end of the battle phase, or at the end of the phase, we will get this to get 3 cards back. I really wish we didn't have to send Mew back, but that's okay. It's not a big deal right now. Because again, you do want him in the graveyard for his effect. And we drew into another Ash Blossom, which is perfect. I'd like to get a little hand trap payback on this guy. Definitely. So I'm just kind of going through the cards to make sure I'm not missing any procs or anything. So cannot be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the effects once per turn. Discard special summon. You can target one face-up card on the field and negate its effects. And then if this card is sent to a graveyard, you can add one Shaddoll card from your deck or graveyard to your hand and then discard one card. Now he's proccing this guy, which is doing something to my graveyard. If this card's sent to the graveyard card effect, you can draw one card. You can only use one. Oh, maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was the actual spell. Banish monsters from your field or either player's graveyard as fusion material. Okay. We're definitely going to go ahead and drop it. Because we negated its effects, he instantly went into a link here. Graveyard, add one Shaddoll card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Yeah, no, we're not going to let that happen. Okay, both went back to the hand, that's fine. But if you guys don't know, if something goes to the hand and it's an extra deck monster, it does go back to the extra deck. Okay, we're going to go into Roxy's and then Mew. Activate Roxy's effect. We're going to have to banish a card from our hand, which is going to be Polly. We'll get to draw, and then we'll get to special summon a monster, or not. Ah, the wonders of all the hand traps. That's alright. This card's bad, so especially because we don't have any answers right now. During the main phase, you can fusion summon one Shaddoll fusion monster from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed on it from your field or graveyard, but it cannot attack directly. Then you can send to the graveyard one monster your opponent controls with the same attribute as that fusion summon monster. So already a double whammy. He couldn't get out. Oh, he got out on Earth. I forgot. He's not. Mew's not wind. He's Earth. There's really no need to continue the main phase here, so no, it'll go to battle, and we'll just end. His next turn, if he draws into any gas, is going to hurt like crazy. Hopefully we can get another hand trap with this. So send the 3 from the graveyard back to the deck and then draw a card. Oh my god, another Poly, that's awful. El Shaddoll Shekinaga. Special summon, activate its effect by every Shaddoll card in your hand. Quick effect, you can negate the activation, and if you do... So when a special summon monster activates its effect while you have a Shaddoll card in your hand, quick effect, you can negate it. So he doesn't have a Shaddoll card in his hand right now. One Shaddoll spell trap in your graveyard added to your hand. Okay. But we're definitely taking 2600. I mean, this says during the main phase and it's continuous. So I'm assuming he still has something that he might be able to do with that. I'm not 100% sure. Shaddoll's not something that I've ever played. Go right into Fansies. Back into Mew. We'll activate both. So because we went to a link, we can decrease his monster's attack by 500 thanks to Prank's Kid's place. Fancies is going to activate. Which card do we want to send to the graveyard? Let's go ahead and send a Dropsies. And then we'll get a Flamesies to the field. Or Lampsies, excuse me. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to be able to go into Battle Butler if we get, you know, the cards we need to do so. Well, we can actually do it now with Verte. We could also get a Pandemonium from our deck to our hand, which we don't really need. We have Prank-Kids Pranks on the field, so we don't really need Doodle. Let's go ahead and see what we can do with Verte and Butler. We're going to take the 2000, deck to the graveyard, our fusion card, Battle Butler. Alright, and that's why we wanted those cards in the graveyard. Here's our beautiful Butler. We'll activate the plays to get the attack boost because we fusion summoned a Prank Kids card. Okay, there's this proc for Schism. See again, Schism says, banish fusion materials listed on it, field and graveyard, but it cannot attack directly, okay? Not going to activate Butler yet. I would really prefer to activate it on his turn, so I can use Mew to not sacrifice our biggest stick right now. Right, Garista. Never seen that card in my life. Looks pretty cool. Looks almost like a Gym Knight with like its mask off. Alright, so must be fusion summon when your opponent would special summon a monster while you have a Shaddoll card in your hand. Quick effect, you can negate the effect and if you do destroy that monster. You can only use effect when this card's in the graveyard when spell track card from your graveyard and not to your hand, okay? He only has no Shaddoll speller graveyards there, so we're going to try to pass the turn and activate this before he can get a card to his hand. I don't know if it procs that way. Like, I would have loved to have activated it right before the, you know, before the draw phase. Know if you can activate quick effects during the standby phase before they would get stuff in their hand normally. So I don't know if that's like a settings thing or what, but hopefully it won't screw us here. See, like, okay. Alright, so I'd like to kill this card before its effect goes off, but I think I just kind of muffed it up anyway because now it's going to be chained 2, which means it's going to be on top. But I guess he's going to go ahead and not do it. Okay, going into another fusion because of Schism. Another card I haven't seen. El Shaddoll Annoyatilis, I guess. Looks very cool. Must be first using summon, either player can such summon monsters from the hand or graveyard using spell trap card effects. If discarded since the graveyard, you can add one shell spell trap card from your graveyard, add it to your hand. Not too worried about that, honestly. I mean, it can attack into Verte or whatever. Yeah, not super worried about it. He can kill Verte if he wants. Well, see, now we have the benefit of getting rid of 2 cards every proc Battle Butler, so I honestly am thinking about doing it. But he can just go into another fusion because of Schism next turn, so I'm really itching for a Harpy's Feather Duster right now. Okay, there's a Gravity Controller again. You know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, the face down was Hedgehog. Not sure what it does, but I know it's pretty decent. Spell Trap from your deck to your hand. One Shadal monster from your deck to your hand except Hedgehog. Okay. So we know he's going to have support to get rid of, or not get rid of, but have in his hand for other Shadal fusion effects. So I'm really worried about Schism right now. I'm going to try to get rid of Schism. I don't think he can activate it in response, so unless he activates it before, we should be okay. Yep, damn. Okay. So that was pretty much a waste. Now he's going to go into something. He's going to be able to negate something with the Shadal in his hand. I'm just so not used to facing Shadal, and it just seems like such a good archetype. So annoying to play against, especially when you don't know what their stuff does or what to expect. Okay, another one of these guys. Their players can special monsters from their hand using spell trap effects. Okay. And look, I was just talking crap about Access Code Talker. And now we're going to use him first duel. Alright, not a bad turn thanks to access. Finally, a Cyclone. Ooh, really wish we had an Ash for that. Summon controls monster during damage. Except during damage step, you can target one of those monsters equipped to this card. While this card is equipped, equip this card to a card. While this card is equipped to a monster, you can add one Magistus. I don't think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to do something with this. Onto another fusion from his graveyard. Okay. Agodius. Okay, which killed access. That sucks. Very cool looking card. Okay, and we need to look out for his secondary effect if we attack.